Very
I
much,
would have to, yeah,
very much scares me.
even on a Sunday, I'm going to just let Jesus know I got something else to do.
Right?
That sounds like something Jesus wants me to do.
It's gonna be fun. It'll be fun.
Oh, Madam Chair, you're fine.
That's right. I hope that. He's not paying attention. It'll be some.
Step out the room. Okay, we're going to start now. All right. Well, good evening, authority members, and good evening, staff. I'm going to call to order the December 12th, 2024 Northern Virginia Transportation. That's it. Everybody heard it. NVTA, I know, authority meeting. Ms. Henderson, would you please call the roll?
Chair Randall,
I am here.
Vice Chair Snyder,
Here.
Chairman McKay,
Here.
Chair Jefferson. Here. Board Member Coffee. Here. Mayor Wilson.
Here.
Mayor Davis Younger,
Here.
Mayor Rochelle,
Here.
Mayor Reed,
Here.
Oh,
Senator Boysko.
Here.
Delegate Delaney,
Here.
Delegate Sewell.
Sewell.
Sewell. Mr. Gribbin,
Here.
Mayor Olem. Ms. Sinner,
Here virtually.
Ms. Robinson. You have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Ms. Coffee. Welcome. I'm sorry. Took me a second. I apologize for that. Authority members, so last meeting, we came out of closed session. I made the motion to come out of closed session, and I believe Mr. Snyder seconded the motion, but it wasn't, I did not write down his second, and he didn't say it if it was him very loudly. So we need to formally and on the record come out of closed session again. If you were not here coming out of closed session, you'll need to vote because it's a coming out of closed session motion. So I'll read the motion. Mr. Snyder is going to scream second, and just because we have to be on the record coming out of closed session. So I move authority approval of the change to the CEO's compensation as discussed during the closed session held on November 14th, 2024, and the communication of the same for the CFO execution. And I move that we come out of closed session.
Second.
Any discussion on that motion? All members who were present, please say aye.
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 That motion will pass unanimously. Yeah. If you were present.
loud.
Okay, that's a little better. So thank you very much. And so having done that, we can go on now and do the approval of the minutes from the November 14th meeting. I know all of you have read the minutes. Would someone like to make a motion for the minutes to be approved? Approval has been moved by the mayor from Alexandria. Is there a second?
Second.
Been seconded by the chair, robustly seconded by the chair of Prince William County. Discussion on the motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Now and for abstaining on that motion, we will have three, Ms. Coffee, Delegate Delaney, and Senator Boysko, because they were not actually at the meeting. So that's why. And now we're going to do the adoption of the LEDGE program. Now, I'm going to turn there you are, very quickly. Turn it over to Ms. Baynard for the adoption of the LEDGE program. Ms. Baynard.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Before you, and it was in your packet, is a copy of the amended proposed 2025 NVTA legislative priorities. As you will recall our conversation last meeting in November, the members wanted to have additional clarity that the purposes of our funding, both regional and local, although y'all have more flexibility, let me go back, it's mostly regional, is dedicated to capital improvements that address congestion, reduce traffic congestion in the region, and that we would oppose any efforts to divert these funds or try to make us use these funds for operation or maintenance. And so, I added the word capital a lot into this first section so that there is clarity that, in 2018, the goal of the region was to find additional dedicated funding for capital needs that address traffic mitigation to be able to pay for multimodal projects that do that. And then a separate sentence that says, and we will oppose any efforts to use these fundings for operation and maintenance. Otherwise, it's what you saw in October and what you saw in November. I'm optimistic that we're not going to see a lot of big conversations around transportation during the 2025 session, short session. 46 days, there's a lot going on, a lot of needs. Right now in the transportation arena, unless a particular region has some needs. I know there's a policy little tweak that VDOT needs for this special structures program. It's very technical, not a big deal, nothing that would harm us. And but that was presented to the CTB at their November meeting. So with that, I will stop talking and see if anybody has any questions.
What I'll do is I'll go on and make the motion and we can ask questions within the motion. How's that sound? I move the authority adoption of the draft 2025 NBTA legislative program.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded by Chair McKay. Discussion on the motion. So, first of all, thank you for the clarity in here because I think it's important. I do believe that unlike 2018, we have a senator and a delegate who understand why money cannot be removed from the program. In 2018, the person in the General Assembly actually was the one making the motions to do that. And now we have people, and it feels so much better, who are actually going to fight for us for this purpose. Mr. McKay and I are both on DMV moves, and we're starting to get some good work done on DMV moves. But often in DMV moves, when they talk about, how they found funding in 2018, we're always like, found it where? Like, found it where? First of all, it didn't come from Virginia, as Chairman McKay said, it came from Northern Virginia. And secondly, it wasn't found, it was collected by taxpayers in Northern Virginia. And then we had to go collect it a second time by taxpayers in Northern Virginia. And so when we're sitting in DMV moves, we're always clear to either Ms. McKay or myself to make that distinction that, that money didn't come out of nowhere and that should not happen again. And oh, by the way, we still haven't been repaid. Also that, we still haven't been repaid. So I feel much better this year, just if for no other reason than we have our senator and our delegate who we know will be fighting with us this time. And especially for Senator Boysko and Mr. Laney, you and Delegate Delaney, you and I should too. Senator Boysko will call me in the middle of session in a heartbeat and ask me questions and say, like, what's going on? She'll call me anytime. And that's exactly how that should be. And so I'm much more confident this year and really do appreciate you all. And we're very lucky to have the chairs of the transportation committees and the NBTA with us. And so I'm not nearly as concerned, and I will leave it to you all to let us know what you need and when you need it. So any other discussion on the motion?
That's good.
No? All right, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion will pass unanimously. Next, we have the approval of updated NBTA logo. Let's bring that up. I think there were a few people, Miss Coffey, Senator Boysko, and Delegate Delaney, who actually didn't see this last month. Did you? You didn't see this, did you, Ms. Delaney? Yes. So I don't want to do the whole presentation again, but just maybe a real quick, if you can, Abigail, just a real quick to show it and show what it looks like and that type of stuff, and then we'll have discussion.
Sounds good. Thanks, Madam Chair. Good evening, everyone. We're back again and happy to be here. And we really are appreciative of your feedback from last month. We've taken everything you said into consideration and just grateful to be back at the table with a logo in front of you again. But for those who were not here last month, this is the new logo design that Sharara and I have worked extensively with a consulting firm to land on. This new logo has the 4-letter NBTA acronym with a tagline and the diamond mark that retains an ode to the diamond we've always been as NBTA. And we really wanted to create something with a true goal of legibility, visibility, and brand recognition. And also just create something that was very modern and could withstand the test of time. This month, we've brought back an updated version of this logo, which may not look entirely too different, but it is actually a little bit of a lighter shade of navy. And we did this to address the concerns that it could possibly look black in some instances. And we still wanted to retain that true MBTA navy blue. So we experimented with some different shades and have landed on this particular application of navy, which we've printed it out. We've looked at it on other monitor screens, and we're confident that it's still visible, but it's when scaled down, it's not going to be black. And also, I think there's some press releases that are going to be circulated. I think Amanda and Kristen, if you all wanted to pass those out. This is a real life application of what the logo could look like, as kind of, we wanted to give you all a little bit of a before and after, past what you're seeing in your packet and past what you're seeing in this presentation of what the logo would look like alongside of our partners, scaled down. And so you'll see the new updated version on the first page, and then on the second page, you'll see the old MBTA logo. So immediately we felt the new logo, it's legible, it's readable, and it's very clear. And then if you look at that compared to our old diamond, you just lose the visibility of the modal icons, and you really can't even read the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority inside that diamond. So we're just, it's like a lost cause when it's down to that size. And we don't want to be that way. As an entity at our scale, we really want to be prominent. We want to be visible. And I think this really goes to show that the comparison between the two, it's very evident that at this size, and this is a lot, we see a lot of print material coming down to this size. Of course, on the big screen TV, you can see it very well, but at this scale, we just really wanted to have something that was still easy to read. Branching on that, we have decided to move forward without using those modal icons in the old diamond. And that's because, we had 4 modal icons, as you can see in the old diamond. As you all know, we're much more than 4 transportation modes. And we didn't want to be constrained to only 4 modes. And also, just back to the point that they just lose visibility at that size. So we're thinking of this new logo as a way to be a clean slate for us to showcase our investments in the work we're doing across multiple modes of transportation. And we plan to illustrate that through photography, videography, and graphic design. And Leanne, if you actually want to click through a couple of those slides, and you all see it in the packet as well. So this is some of the work this is actually shot from our rooftop. So these images really tell the whole story and really showcase how a picture can be worth 1,000 words, and keep the simplicity of our logo on top of it, but also goes to show that we're making investments really across the region in so many different ways of travel modes.
Does that picture have a metro in it?
It does, yes. Yep.
Up at the very top?
Departing from Dunloring, yep.
Okay.
That's
okay.
right. Yes, and Leanne, if you want to click through a couple other ones, we've got the Potomac Yard
there
Metro
we go.
Station.
Now I'm interested.
Okay.
That picture's not worth 1,000 words. That's worth $370 million. That's completely different.
And we couldn't forget about the Virginia Railway Express, and then again, Leanne, if you want it, so this is another example just blown up of our partners. And we're also starting to see the trend of people going toward the acronym and just keeping the simplicity with the tagline. And it's just a full package. Everything is spelled out, acronym, tagline, and the diamond mark. But I think that's it from me. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Chairman.
Well, thank you. So before we go to a motion, does anyone have any thoughts, questions, statements, anything?
Chairman McKay has a lot of.
I'm good.
Case lights not on. I know
I'm good.
I know how they look when they're on and it's not. So
Can we still adopt this one?
Mayor, do
Absolutely not.
You know what? No kidding. Abigail, seeing the two, because my thought last time was that I liked seeing the different modes of transportation, because sometimes we do get falsely accused of putting money in the roads and not putting money in the other transit, which is why I like the little modalities. However, you are right, when it's up against those, you can't see them anyway. And so you kind of lose what's happening there. And I think, the word transportation doesn't mean roads and doesn't mean just drive. It means transportation in all of its forms. I love that you kept the ode to the diamond. And actually, when you look at that last little arrow, is even like a little bit of kind of silvery thing going on at the top of that. And I love that. I do. I love that. I noticed that and I love that. So, yeah, I think this looks good. I'm going to make a motion unless Mr. The mayor from Alexandria would like to make a motion. No? Oh, okay. I think I will then. Damn it. I move the authority approve the MBTA's updated logo.
Second.
Seconded by Mayor Wilson. There we go. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? That will pass unanimously. Thank you, and very good job. Thank you very much. Good job. That is all of our action items. We're now going to go to some of our discussion items, including the quarterly trends update, which I'm really, really curious to see this. So, Rashid, if you would come to the table, please. How are you doing, sir?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, board members. So we are looking at item number 6, quarterly travel trends update. This is our regular updates on highway and transit travel trends in Northern Virginia. Just a refresher for all of us and the new members. We started this trend reporting back in June of 2021 to show the pandemic's impact on travel patterns in Northern Virginia. So in this memo, in this particular report, we looked at data in the third quarter of this year, July to September. And in addition to our regular items on traffic volumes and monthly transit ridership, we also checked one new metric, electric vehicle registration rates, a data metric that relates to our core value of transportation sustainability. So according to TPB's 2021 climate change mitigation study, on-road mobile sources contribute about 34% of total regional greenhouse gas emissions. So to mitigate this problem of this situation, the number one strategy from that study recommended was to shift the fleet of motor vehicles to electric vehicles. To check the progress on that strategy and on that line of thought, one measure is, of course, the market penetration rate of these electric vehicles. And on this chart, we are looking at that registration rates, electric vehicles in Virginia, Maryland, and the nation. Our data source is EOS DOT, Alternative Fuel Data Center. In this chart, if it's hard to see from your location, blue bar is Virginia, the magenta/red is Maryland, and the gray bar is the United States. As you can see, overall, it's a healthy growth rate for all three geographies, almost an exponential curve, I would say, of growth of electric vehicles registrations. It's not apparent from this chart. This chart shows the rates. If we look at the absolute number, Virginia actually had more registrations than Maryland. But in terms of rate per 100,000 population, we are getting behind Maryland. So that's all I have on this topic. We will keep monitoring this trend.
Let me just ask a question on this one.
Sure.
Is this, do you think, because Virginia hasn't maybe invested in the infrastructure?
So that brings on the Navy grant program, the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Grant. In 2023, we received over $22 million in funding. I have to check on the Maryland's funding situation. That may have an impact on this rate.
Okay.
I would have to get back to you.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. So we will keep monitoring this trend and see where we are at. Now we will go back to our regular items, the highway travel trends and the transit ridership. Next chart. So the next two chart, we will look at the variation in highway travel demands, highway traffic volumes by day of the week and different time periods in a day. On this chart, we are looking at day of the week. One notable trend, I would say, is the Saturday travel. Note that these are relative changes. So Saturday is high, but it's compared to Saturday's pre-pandemic. So higher travels in the weekend as relative to pre-pandemic conditions. And during the weekdays, we continue to see highest travel demand on Thursdays, which is shown on this chart. On average, during the weekday, we are about 3.5% below pre-pandemic level. So we are close according to our analysis, but not there yet. In the next chart, we will see that how these vary. These travel demands vary by time of the day. PM peak continued to show relatively the highest travel demands, almost at the pre-pandemic level, only 0.5% below. And with that, I want to highlight some recent media coverage, basically saying that roadway congested conditions are actually in certain areas, certain corridors are more than pre-pandemic level. So I want to note that our analysis is based on locations where we have VDOT data, VDOT traffic count location data, and the map is attached at the end of your memo to show those locations. So that is all I have on the roadway traffic volumes.
But I have a question on that
Yeah.
too, and if anyone else does jump in. I keep hearing that we're now at pre-COVID or even better than pre-COVID levels. I keep hearing that. But at the same time, I hear about all the people who are still working remotely and how everyone's going to be called back to work soon. All the federal government, everyone's going back to work. So is it that people are back on the road, but just at different times, and that time is just spread out? Because it couldn't be that all these people are still working remotely and we're looking at pre-pandemic numbers. Those things just don't make sense together.
Exactly the point, Madam Chair, as you pointed out, is spread out differently. The shift has, the peak has shifted. Also, Madam Chair, another data point, anecdotally at least, we have seen is while we are working from home, there are other non-discretionary trips being made. Like you go to Costco for shopping maybe on Thursday that you never did when you were working from office. Things along that nature. So other trips, other purpose trips being made during the weekdays more so than pre-pandemic period.
Okay, this will be really interesting to look at in 6 months, because if everyone in the federal government and contractors are called back to work, I know even the Washington Post, they're all going back to work full time in March or something. So that would be interesting to see these numbers again right around in about 6 months from now, or mid-year maybe. So,
Yes.
all right, thanks.
Definitely.
Anybody
We
else?
will get back and we will continually monitoring this. data.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes. So that's all I have on the highway traffic. So my bottom line takeaway is we are close, at least for these sample locations, but not at the pre-pandemic level yet.
Okay.
Next, next chart, we will look at our familiar transit chart, very busy chart. Sorry for that. As before, the local bus services continue to show stronger recovery rate than the commuter-based services. On this chart, the top two lines, the yellow and the teal bluish lines, the Fairfax Connector and Dash, both of them well above the pre-pandemic level, about 15 to 48% above pre-pandemic level. The next line, if it's hard to see from here, it's the purple line, purple color line, which is the PRTC OmniRide. They have shown a substantial growth from last quarter, about a 7% growth, and almost on average 90% to pre-pandemic level. So, and just below that is the green line, which is Metrobus. They are not trailing far behind. They are also within 90% of pre-pandemic level. So the point is local buses are either at or above the pre-pandemic levels. And that's the trend that we have continued to see all throughout this year. So these are the major things I wanted to highlight, Madam Chair. Our next update will be in March next year,
Okay.
and I can take any questions.
Okay, all right, that was really helpful. Thank you. Any questions? Yes, sir.
Just one quick question. The difference between the yellow line and the blue line, the first part of 2024, or one went up dramatically, one went down. Is there a reason for that?
Yes.
Yeah,
So the
that's
blue
right.
line, the
That's
second
right.
line, right in the
Yeah.
chart. So that is Fairfax Connector. There was a service strike going on in that period.
Mhm.
That's why the drastic
Mhm.
decline.
Mhm.
Going to, but I was restraining myself.
You did a good job. Let's
In
keep that up.
October,
Let's
we did
keep
break
that up.
record, have an A+
Oh,
thousand passengers.
God, we could just
Most in
take
one
it.
month.
Okay,
ever, but,
okay.
yeah, just-
This is,
I didn't.
see what you did.
I didn't mention.
See what you did.
I mean, always.
Oh, God. All right, anybody else? Anybody other than Mr. Wilson?
Say to Mr. Wilson.
Is your,
"This
is
is
your
your
mic-
last-"
is this your next?
If this is your last meeting, live it up.
I am, exactly. Exactly. You can't kick me
I
out.
support that.
We kicked him out a long
Thank
time
you,
ago.
Chair
He just
Deb.
keeps coming back. We
Thank you.
tried.
No,
We
I
tried.
promise you, I won't be back in January. I promise you. Don't worry about it.
Okay. All right, we're gonna do, Mr. Longi for the, draft bylaw amendments. Sir.
Thank you, Chair Randall. These amendments have been through the GPC committee. We've incorporated their changes and comments to
Whoa,
it.
whoa, whoa, hold on. Are we still broadcasting? Something happened? Did we lose the broadcast? Thank you.
I can hear you guys.
You can hear us?
Sounds
Okay,
good.
all right, well, that's good. And that's all we have to do is make sure people hear us, right? Don't have to see us.
We're here.
Okay, then let's keep going.
Okay. Trying to get the microphone straight. As I mentioned, these changes have been through the GPC. We've incorporated comments from GPC. They've also been reviewed by the Council of Council, and our bylaws require 2 readings in order to be changed. So this is the first of those 2 readings, which is why it's a discussion item. There are some material changes to the bylaws, and I will spend some time on those, but we have some non-material changes. Although I don't think Chair Randall would call it that. We are changing all references to chairman to chair and all references to vice chairman to vice chair. And we won't call out those individually. The first substantial change is on page 2, where we are just using the full title for the Finance Committee on Finance and Appropriation. Down towards on item 6 on page 2, we are clarifying the actual practice of allowing town mayors to serve multiple consecutive terms.
Is that for Mr. Woods, for Mayor Woods?
Yes. At the bottom of page 3, we are changing on item C, we're changing the meeting to, we will pass the annual meeting schedule no later than the January organizational meeting. And this brings us into consistency with other regional entities.
Good.
On page 4, the General Assembly has been making a lot of changes to advertisement requirements, open meeting notices, et cetera, et cetera. So this wording will allow us to just be in compliance with those changes without having to come back and change the bylaws.
Okay.
The one on quorum is just an update to the code sections.
The one on quorum, that differentiates quorum for the full authority meeting, this is quorum for the, and quorum for the committee meetings.
For the full authority.
Okay, for the third, okay.
Now at the bottom of page 6 on
Wait, I'm
committees.
sorry, let's go back to the quorum question again. Is it quorum of people in the room that have to be present, or the voting strength in the room? Because I could be in the room with just Mr. McKay, and that's voting for him.
Well, the only thing
It's
we're
people-
changing is the code reference
Okay,
on item I.
okay, wonderful.
On bottom of page 6, that goes back again to the General Assembly session. You also we have to readopt our electronic meeting policies annually. So again, just keeping our policies up to date will allow us to stay in compliance with the state code. Down on page 7, under Finance Committee, item D, we are taking out the word incidental. The Finance Committee has a lot more access than just to incidental contract. They can look at anything they want. At the top of page 8, again, this also goes into better defining the Finance Committee's role. They would be involved in any of the major funding recommendations, etc. Under membership, we are clarifying, and this goes through essentially for every committee. We are clarifying that the chair of the NVTA appoints the chair and vice chair of the committee. Under quorum and voting for finance, and this will occur as well for GPC, currently the committees are comprised of 5 people. 3 jurisdictional members have to approve an item. So we actually had a point with the Finance Committee where we had a quorum, but one of the members was not from a jurisdiction. It was a governor's appointee. So the Finance Committee could not take action on that item. We are changing that, recommending changing it for finance and GPC. However, because of the role of PPC, we are not recommending making that change on PPC. Because PPC is typically the last recommendation point for project approvals to the authorities. At the bottom of page 8, CC, we are just trying to better reflect the GPC's role in developing the legislative program. At the top of page 9, again, the clarity of the chair appointment. Quorum and voting. We're taking out on GPC that jurisdiction requirement. D1, we're changing to better reflect the role of the PPC. And quorum and voting, I'll note item DF, that is where we are not making the change that we made in the other 2 committees. On page 10, under membership for the TAC, we are trying to, we have a fairly awkward way of appointing the local members. It's actually been subject to several different interpretations over the years. So we're trying to simplify the process. Remember, TAC is comprised of 9 members. 6 come from jurisdictions, 3 come from essentially the CTB. And so we're proposing NVTA CEO will recommend a list of new members to the authority and for authority approval. We're also clarifying that CTB appointed members can only be removed by the chair of the CTB. And members appointed by the authority may serve multiple consecutive terms. Quorum and voting, we are recommending that if there is a not complete consensus, that a majority report with a recommendation come forward to the authority with a minority report that identifies concerns.
Whoa, well, that's a big change.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, the GPC said they
I
didn't
don't
want to
remember
just
that.
get reports. They
Yeah.
wanted to have a recommendation.
Who's responsible for a minority report?
Staff would have to work with the folks who were not in agreement to come up with develop the report, as we would draft based on the directions of those in the
And how
majority.
robust would that report be? I mean,
We-
that sounds like a lot of work for staff. Sounds like a lot of
It
work,
could
yeah.
be,
Yeah.
but the committees typically do reach consensus.
They do, yeah. Okay, would that also apply to, that would not obviously apply to anything that comes out of closed session? No, okay.
So for PPC, the same recognition of the chair's appointments. Item 5, we're doing the same majority report with recommendation and minority report. We are also proposing anything that comes out of PCAC at this point requires 2 readings, and we're proposing to drop that.
Okay.
And the remaining items are typos and grammar corrections. And with that, I'd be pleased to respond to any questions.
All right, questions? I'm gonna go back to the, well, I have 2 questions. The quorum and voting, the minority report. Hmm. And, I don't know how I feel about that one. I'm gonna give that one some thought over the holiday season, because that just
Okay.
sounds like a lot of work. And it doesn't feel, it feels like the MBTA overall is a pretty collegial body. And even when we have, when it's not a total consensus. Now, if it's, we very rarely don't have consensus. And I can't think of any time where it was like even a really close vote. That I can see. But if it's like one person that doesn't agree, I'm like, so I want to give that one thought, because I don't know how much work I want to do how much work I want to make for staff. Especially since I think what can happen and what does happen is we talk amongst ourselves. And so people in the room understand whether they agree with somebody's opinion or not, they understand the reason for somebody voting a different way. So unless you're doing this for public consumption, that's a different thing. I don't think the people in the room, even if you don't, I mean, if Super Boy Squad and I don't agree, okay, but we would have talked, I mean, we would have talked it out and we would have known why. And so there's no one on the authority, I don't believe, who doesn't know why. And maybe you think the committees don't know why. I mean, let me just give that one some thought, because it seems like a lot of work for staff if it came up.
Yeah,
That's the first thing. The second question I'm going to, and I've been asked to ask this. I think it's a good question, though. We've had lots of discussion before about whether the town representative has a vote, and they don't. And we know why they don't, and we can disagree, agree. It is, I think. But whether or not they have a vote is always my thought. When a town representative comes in the room, they're not supposed to just be representing their town. They're supposed to be representing the towns. I don't know that the town rep is calling other towns to give their thoughts, opinions, or things. I got a feeling that's probably not happening. And so I would almost, either say at some point, if we have a town rep, we have to have the towns represented. And whether that's the chair that does that, the vice chair really wants to do it. Whether that's a town rep that does that, the staff that does that, or if somehow we just changed and gave the towns a vote, I don't know. But it doesn't feel like towns are being represented. It feels like the town rep who's here gets to speak about an issue, but then doesn't get to vote on the issue. And so I'm a little more concerned than I used to be that the town's voices do not get heard in this body.
I will note that, remember PCAC
I
has a
know.
representative from each town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it doesn't normally come back to this board, though, to the full board, to the full authority.
So, Madam Chair, what we can do, because Mr. Long is right, the PCAC,
I know.
14 members, the 5 towns are included. But what we can do to address your concern is have an item on the agenda for the town rep to speak to any issues if he or she feels necessary. We can check in with him or her, whoever the town rep usually is. What I'm being told, they do talk amongst each other.
Do they
And now
talk amongst
it's
each other?
getting time for us to send out the email requesting that someone serves
Yeah.
for calendar year 2025,
yeah.
but they do have a dialogue.
Okay, you think that happens? Cause I
Yes.
talked to a couple and yeah, I don't know.
Like
that-
we have Mayor Colbert who's chaired the PCAC for a few years and she enjoys it, but she said
She does
she
talk to,
likes doing that and she will take that over, being
Yeah.
on the authority for a year.
it's really important because people, there's a lot, I mean, there's thousands of people who live in our combined towns. I just want to make sure their voices are heard, that's all. So, okay, all right, thank you. Any other thoughts, questions? Anything? No?
So this will be
Okay.
back in January as an action item.
All right, sounds good. All right, number 8, I think we've got enough reports on those two things. Ms. Bain, do you have anything else for where'd she go? Did you, anything else for number 8? You have some personnel comment?
no,
Okay,
Chair.
all right, I think we're good. I think we've done. We need to do with that. PPC committee, Mr. Wilson.
My report's in the packet. We met in November, discussed the same thing that we had discussed at the previous meeting around the cost overruns and underestimates, and provided some feedback to the staff on it, and then got updates of upcoming places. So that's it.
Okay. Any
Chair
questions
out.
for Mr. Wilson?
Chair is out.
I didn't even get like the any questions question out before.
Jeff wants to chair that.
Does he?
campaign.
Just, I talk to Jeff pretty often. I miss him making that request to me, but he's been waiting to ask me, because he and I never talk, so. Jeff Bashful, is that what it is? Oh, yeah, work on that. The tech advisory report is in the, the planning coordinator advisory committee report is in package, yes?
Correct.
And the technical advisory report is also in the package,
That is
correct?
correct.
All right. Ms. Backman, do you have a report you'd like to give us?
Madam Chair, briefly, in the interest of time, I would like to know a few things. We have 2 new employees who are here tonight on the finance team, Luhan and Gary Armstrong. Can you stand up and be acknowledged? We're happy and delighted to have them on, so thank you. Our preliminary deployment plan for the bus rapid transit study is in phase 2, and that work will continue through March of 2025. And I will note that I am meeting with some regional leaders about this study, especially as part of the DMV Moves movement, because a lot of comments have come up regarding having a regional BRT system. And I'm like, well, we're doing that. We're to just hold on, because our study not only is for Northern Virginia, we have Montgomery County, Prince George's, WMATA, we have the entities there. Now, what we can fund is in Northern Virginia, and we will have a funding recommendation plan, but we are doing that work. I have been asked to share that our spring innovation lunch and learns details will be provided early next year. We just had one last week, I believe. And if any of you are so interested, we do record them. If you have some free time and you want to come back and, well, we don't record them. You know, my staff really like, I know we record them if you want to go back and watch. And lastly, I would like to note that Chair Randall received recognition at the COG. It wasn't a lunch yesterday, I guess, reception. I need my readers, I'm sorry. The Elizabeth and David Skull Metropolitan Public Service Award. So congratulations to Chair Randall. And happy holidays.
Thank you very much. And I will tell you, that was a complete surprise. So it's a very, very humbling award. So when I was sitting there, I saw my picture come up and I was like, that's the wrong picture. What are we doing? And then I thought, oh my God. So it was, and I will say, Mr. McKay, you didn't know it, but I didn't know it either. But I'm sure Mr. Wilson took pictures for us and all that I'm sure he did.
I
did not.
You did. Took pictures. I'll send you the link.
You should- you should-
That's right. You can look at all the pictures.
But you did. All right.
Your big picture is at the top of the whole email. If you want.
Oh God. Actually, I do. So yes. Because whenever
You-
something
you
happens, I
very
want to
own
send it to the
Clark.
lady who was, the girl who was mean to me in high school, so she can just know. Get together now. A couple of things. One, I need to appoint a nominating committee. Is it three?
It's how many you would desire.
I'm going to do three. I have called Mayor Davis Younger. She has agreed. I have talked to Mayor Reed. She has agreed. And I haven't talked to Chair McKay yet, but I'm going to look at Chair McKay and he's going to do this. And Chair McKay has just agreed. So it'd be three because I think it should be an odd number, actually. So it'd be Mayor Davis Younger, Mayor Reed, and Chairman McKay. So thank you very much for that. Appreciate it very much. Chairman McKay handed the duty off to me today, so I just thought I would return the favor. There you go.
And not further ahead.
See how, yeah, that's actually true. You very much are. And then finally, we do have some outgoing members. Of course, but Sheila Olam is not here tonight. She is from the town of Herndon. She couldn't make it, but she will not be the town rep next year. I'll give Miss Olam a call later. But there are two people that we do want to have a little bit of a discussion about tonight, and anyone can feel free to join me. The first person is Mayor Wilson. So first, I was asked to share that on Sunday, December 15th, 2024, we are broadcasting, right? Okay, good. On Sunday, December 15th, there is a toast, roast, and gratitude, a celebration of Mayor Wilson's service to Alexandria. I hear it's being planned by his wife and Chairman McKay, so I think that should be.
That's even scarier than just my wife alone.
I think that should be really, really interesting, really interesting. On a serious note, listen, you've been a fantastic mayor of Alexandria. Just look back on all the things you've done in your county, and clearly you have such a love for your city. You really do. It comes through in everything you do. You have made me especially more aware in talking about transit more. If you're me, if you're Chair Jefferson, who has areas where transit's probably not as easy, what we've kind of done with that is make transit more robust in areas where it can be. And I will credit you and Katie for doing that for us. And so that's been really important. You are funny and kind and nice and super smart. You used to have hair.
A lot of it. When I started.
We saw those pictures, and I was like, "Who is that?" You used to have hair, and that tells you how hard you've worked over the years. I am no
Now you
joke.
have to pay double.
Well,
Just-
oh, I'll be there.
Two hairdos.
I am seriously going to miss you. I am seriously going to miss you. We won't stop talking to you, as is true by what we already do, but I am seriously going to miss you. And I think you have given good advice and good counsel. And even when you haven't agreed, you've always been, you can disagree and still be so agreeable. And that's just not true for everyone. And so thank you for your service. I am going to miss you. We're all going to miss you very much. I'm going to leave some time for Mr. McKay to talk because I know he has some things he'd like to say. And then we have something for you. But anyone else like to talk before Jeff McKay talks? So he's going to speak last. Anybody else? Yeah. So Mr. McKay, I drop it on you, sir.
Madam Chair, I just want to
Okay,
say,
yes.
I have so, Madam Chair,
Mike, is there
Is it
anything?
on?
I don't know.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I have so enjoyed working with the mayor of Alexandria over the past 4 years, and the conversations that you have brought to the table have always, as Chair Randall has said, has always been collegial and thoughtful and really advocating for your region. And I just wish you the best and thank you for your service.
No more time for Jeff. So.
Okay, good.
I'll go.
I'm gonna keep my powder dry for Sunday, because I do have something. But I will just say, for folks in the room, this will come as a surprise probably to only a couple people in the room, but literally Justin and I have known each other since we were in college. And, you know, seeing him come and go, take a break, for a while there and return back. But I gotta tell you, you know, we talk probably text, probably daily. And probably the thing, non-humorous thing I remember the most, was for those of us who were mayors and chairs through the COVID pandemic, we spent a lot of time together. And I think the thing that worked best was that we shared ideas. And honestly, this forum is for that in a lot of ways when it comes to transportation, but there really wasn't a forum for every other thing we were dealing with. And we had that during COVID, and that's one of the reasons why many of us have a bond from that period of time that won't go away ever. Just what we were dealing with. And so, you know, I will say that on a serious note. Also, I was going to have Justin come to our board to be recognized. But then when I realized all the things I really wanted to recognize him for, I didn't think that would be great public meeting. And so I'm saving all of that for Sunday as a way to advertise for other people that they should be encouraged to attend a said event in the city of Alexandria. It will be joyous. It will be on a Sunday to keep it, you know, so it doesn't go too crazy. But honestly, these jobs are tough. Alexandria is tiny. But seems to always have something going on that gets the news. And I just want everyone to know that's not Justin's fault. It just has happened.
Sometimes it is.
And he's just had to respond to it. But I'm gonna save most of what I have to say for Sunday. But I do think for those of you who laugh, and Justin does that more than most, I think we could all afford to do a little bit more of that, and enjoy each other's company a little bit more. And it's probably the thing that Justin has brought to NVTA more than any other individual in the room. And for that, I'm grateful because we could all use more of that in life.
So, Wilson, we have a gift for you. And open it, and then we're gonna take a picture, right? We're gonna take pictures, right?
Oh,
You're right.
yes, that's right. That's right.
Is that the new navy blue? Do I have to come back next month and get it? It was the old logo. It's the old logo. You're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to come back. You're gonna have to come back.
And Mayor, I want to know before you open that, we got it before we talked last night. So when you see it.
So, okay, I'll tell that story in a second. Hold on. Oh, that's great. Thank you. Thank you. So I was telling Monica that I'm cleaning out my office, and as I'm sure all of you know, right, I have this stack of like 18 t-shirts from like every event that the city of Alexandria has had for like the last 10 years, right? It's just there we go, another t-shirt, another t-shirt, another t-shirt. So they're all coming in. So thank you very much. It's very nice of you. Thank you. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Over here.
You have any shirts with bill numbers on it? Senator? No?
Not yet.
No,
So you have to come back. One of those.
Like Jersey or something. Good idea. I do have shirts from the recess bill. Got it. 2013 on the back shirts. No, no.
But they did make like. Well, I do
Got it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. That's very nice. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take pictures of everybody, with everybody afterwards. Next, the other person who, this is her last meeting is Mayor Rochelle. So let me just say that I met Mayor Rochelle years ago and you remember this, there was a group called the Good Old Girls. The Good Old Girls And the Good Old Girls were a group of women who years ago got together because their husbands were all elected officials. And every once in a while they get together and they'd have a tea or something, and their husbands called themselves the Good Old Boys, so they called themselves the Good Old Girls. And then one day somebody realized that, you know, these amazing, powerful, beautiful women could do more than just be supportive to their husbands. They could actually run for office themselves. And so people like Emily Miller and Kate Hanley and all those people were part of the Good Old Girls. And they invited all of us kind of new people in to just kind of sit at their knee and learn and talk. And that's where I met you at. And you are no joke, just grace personified. You have been such an inspiration for so many people over so many years. You are the little engine that could. If you believe something, you do not stop. And it's interesting because you're tiny and powerful. I mean, if I had to describe you, there's a book called Steel and Velvet, and it kind of says that you see somebody and they present a certain way, but they have this spine of steel. And if there's something they believe and something they want to do, they will go and go and go until it gets done. And that is exactly who you are. You are a woman who was steel and velvet. And I really admire that about you. You have been doing a very tough job for a while now, and doing it just so wonderfully. The two of you, I always joke, if you've ever watched the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, you know, there's a line in there that says, "I was there when the deep magic was made," right? The two of you were there, or here in MBTA when the deep magic was made. You were here from the beginning. And so now that's just going to be so us relying on your knowledge and your history and all that you have brought to this organization, to the authority, has been really, really important to us. Losing you out of this room is indeed a loss. And I just think you are fabulous, and you have been fabulous for years and years. And I appreciate you so much, so much. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, you use the term steel for reasons which you may know, which we all know, because she's such a great public official, but she and I were originally from the coal and steel area outside of Pittsburgh. So your selection of the words has many, 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 many positive meaning. And Mayor Russo has just been an incredible chair of the Finance Committee, probably the hardest working committee of all of them. And she leads with total inclusion and total rationality, and it's just a delight. And the jurisdiction in which she's been mayor was lucky to have her, but the region is even luckier. So thanks a lot for everything that you've done, and we'll be calling on you, I'm sure.
Well, Madam Chair said it best, right? At the Good Old Girls, where I think that's where I met you as well. You've always been somebody who wants to make sure that everybody else comes along too. And so whether it's helping people understand the policy here or being an ally and an advocate for other people, I will never forget your kindness to me personally over the many years that I've been involved, and just appreciate so much your giving of yourself, not only to the city of Manassas Park and to us, but to specifically women in politics over the years. And it's really been very meaningful. I appreciate you.
So I think I first met you at the Democratic Business Council of Northern Virginia. And yes, and that's what I remember too, is your advocacy for women being elected to office. And because there was a time where it was very, very hard. Very hard. And then this woman got elected, this woman got elected, and this woman got elected. And Good Old Girls was a part of that, but it really was there for a while. 2013 was not a good year. 2015 was a tough year, but you really have been there from the beginning, advocating for the things you believe in and for the fact that women deserve a seat at the table. And you certainly have earned yours. And I appreciate everything you've given to the region.
So I'm very lucky because we're practically neighbors. Prince William County and City of Manassas Park. I'm just gonna say, we were talking earlier and she said she wanted to dedicate time to hobbies. I'm like, what are exactly our hobbies? But she actually has some really interesting, if you mind, if you know, share, she actually translates ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. So that's a pretty cerebral type of hobby, but I do plan on knocking on your door when you retire and getting as much advice from you as I can, because you have really done amazing things for your jurisdiction. And I am so lucky to have someone like you so close to me. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm a geek.
Hey, nothing wrong with
What a legacy of the women that have come behind you and because of you. What a legacy for you, for us. And for that, I saw this yesterday. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
She has the right logo on it. I'm with the lamp.
I would put it right here.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, that's spectacular.
Amazing.
Oh, wow, look at.
What in the world?
Oh,
That
I was gonna say, that's the coolest part.
Thank you so much.
great idea.
Really,
Really
beautifully
great
done.
idea.
And then we got to take pictures of everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can stand behind.
Yeah, that's great.
Get out of the back here.
That is so cool.
Try not to photo bomb.
Behind
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's up next.
Pretty good. So we want to post a meeting, they go up there and take, and make sure, okay. we do that.
Good job, Chair Randall.
Really?
That's the amazing. After we adjourn the meeting, we're gonna go out in front of the in front of the MBTA logo while we still have it and take and take a picture with our outgoing members. The only other things I will say is that you know, Mr. McKay kind of hit on it a little bit. MBTA is made up mostly of chief elected officials or people who have been doing this job for a while. These are hard jobs. They really are. I was at a swearing in right before this, and I read the words to the poem by Teddy Roosevelt, "The Man in the Arena," actually at the man or woman in the arena. If you have not read that, you go read that because it will keep you going. These are hard jobs. And there are times when I feel like, you know, I read something about myself and I go, really? That really? And sometimes the only thing on some days that gets me through is Justin Wilson and Jeff McKay and Katie Crystal and Ann Wheeler and the camaraderie that we have built that is required. It is required if we're going to get through this, is to have a support system amongst one another. And I am so proud to be part of this group and be part of this support system. I also want to say to Monica, I said this before, your staff is exemplary. They are absolutely excellent. They really are. The staff is excellent. You do a great job with the staff. They are. I'm like, I feel like I can think something, and then I look at my email, and Abigail has dropped it in my email just because I thought about it. There, it's in my email. But Ms. Beckman, you're also exemplary. You do. This is a very, very tough job, and you do it very well, and you do it with gravitas and grace all the time. Ms. Baynard, where are you? It applies to you too, ma'am. So we are so lucky in this organization to have you all and this staff that you have brought together. Because, and I say this all the time, staff should make what makes elected officials look good. You really are, because really the heavy lifting is done by the staffs. And so we appreciate you and we thank you so much. Finally, I will say to Mr. Snyder, Mr. Snyder sits next to me on my right, and he doesn't talk much, but you are a calm force all the time. And I always know you're there. And I always know that if I need anything, if I have to step out, I've had a lot of issues this year with my mother, and I had to miss meetings. And at the last minute, you stepped in. And I never even where I just call Monica and go, I can't do the minute. She goes, I'll call Dave Snyder. And that's it, right? And that's it. So, you know, you don't talk a lot, but you don't have to, because you just exude like wisdom and power just being here with me. And I haven't said that to you out loud, but I appreciate you so much. So thank you very much. And by the way, that's a very nice tie. I love your tie. I love that tie. It is a good tie. It's a good tie. Yeah, it's a good tie. So thank you all, everyone. And let me say, have a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. Happy Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Festivus for the rest of us. If I missed something. Yeah.
Madam Chair, I believe Mayor Davis Younger has something.
Oh, Mayor Davis Younger has something. Does she
Yes.
want Mayor? Hi.
Thank you. Hi, I'm sorry to
are
prolong
you?
everyone. Just wanted to say thank you. And Jeanette, you know, you've been a role model for me. Gonna miss you as mayor, and Justin as well. When I first came on, we had conversations. What have I done? And you were so reassuring. You were so reassuring for me. And so certainly gonna miss both of you. But I wanted to also say thank you, Monica. I recently lost my mom. On the 21st of November. And she and my dad were married for 65 years. And so it's really, really tough for him. He's 90 right now, and it's tough for him. But if you all would just keep us in thoughts over the holidays, it's tough. You know, though they say those firsts are always hard, but she passed the week before Thanksgiving, and that was her favorite. But Monica, thank you for showing up to the service and being there. It really meant a lot. And I wish everyone happy holidays. Sorry, I missed the last meeting to say goodbye in person, but just wanted to get that out. Thank you, Madam Chair, for the time.
Thank you, Mayor Davis Younger. We miss you. We'll see you at the beginning of the year, if not sooner.
All right.
McKay.
Yeah, I don't want to rain on this parade. I really don't. But I do have a technical question I need to ask before we break.
Sure.
Given the timeliness and I don't want to put Chair Jefferson on the spot, but obviously, you know, we're aware that the Route 28 project in Prince William County may be canceled. And, you know, I'll just speak for Fairfax County and say that will be extraordinarily disappointing. It's an important regional project. Prince William has its reasons. I understand those. My question has nothing to do with that. My question has to do with the NVTA, because the NVTA has a lot of money on this project.
7.5 million, I do believe.
And obviously, it's not every day that a project of this magnitude potentially could be canceled. And I understand it's not official until potentially December 17th, I think is the date.
No, so it is not on our calendar for this year. It is something we're going to discuss next year, and we're going to have our transportation staff do a presentation for us so that we can discuss this and find out our other options. You know, unfortunately for us, because I know the project's been stalled for a while, it's added another $100 million for what we have to pay out. So we are planning to make sure that we have a public discussion of this so that, I mean, nothing's been decided. One of my colleagues gave a directive, but we will be discussing it. I believe we haven't even adopted next year's calendar, so don't hold me to it. But right now I'm looking at Tuesday, January 21st for a full discussion on this. And we might also, you know, I've talked to the team, you know, if we should also have public hearings or do anything else around this. So we will certainly keep you updated. You know, you've certainly gotten correspondence from me. You're always welcome to, you know, respond. So
I always respond. And Madam Chair, I don't mean to interrupt here.
The agenda says other business for the body, and this is other business for the body. It's,
I just
please
for the
go.
record, I mean, this project was funded, has funding from NVTA on it because Fairfax County supported it from day one. So I think that's really important to know. But my question has nothing to do with the technical, what Prince William might do or the reasons for it or our position or anything else. My question is a simple one. to NVTA, which is if a jurisdiction cancels a project. I've always thought, in simple terms, when NVTA funds a project, I've always told people you should consider that a loan until the project is completed. And when the project is completed, the loan is forgiven. But that loan is paid back to NVT if the project is not completed. And I just want to make sure that that is in fact the policy, that any dollars we approve for a project are paid back to NVTA if the project is not built.
Is that a question for Ms. Bachman?
Yes.
Okay.
Chairman McKay, that is correct, because for us, the law requires that, we do congestion reduction. And if a project does not come to fruition for, I don't want to, for whatever reason, then we have to have the conversation on the project sponsor reimbursing the authority for the dollars that we have reimbursed them for, because we do pay on a reimbursement basis.
And I would like, for the record to note that our transportation staff is in discussions with what that's going to look like. And this is something, as we look at our budget, we are, if we decide to cancel it, we will make appropriate provisions for repaying the loan.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure that and I think it's important for all of us, unrelated to this project, to know that that's what happens when a project is funded by this authority. If for whatever reason it is canceled, that jurisdiction pays back, or that entity, in the case of somebody that's not a jurisdiction, but that entity is paying back NVTA for any costs that are incurred. And that's the only thing I wanted clarity on.
Yes, we are definitely well aware of that. I mean, listen, our name is on the contract, so we are contractually obligated to do that. And that is something that we are looking for. We'll make sure that we have the appropriate funds budgeted for it. I don't like giving back money, but if that's what we have to do and we make that decision, we shall do it.
I appreciate that clarity.
I think the clarity moment, if I heard you right, Mr. McKay, was that the project is, that the amount is paid back if the project is not completed versus in any place in the project, if no matter what's done or not done, if the project's not completed, then that's when the loan is forgiven. Is that the point you're?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that's what's important for all of us to know when we enter into these projects, that, the NVTA is here to get these things completed. I mean, that's what our job is. And so I just wanted that clarity. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And like I said, the agenda says other business to come before the body, and that's exactly what that means. Other business becomes before the body. So before we do adjourn, is there any other business to come before the body? All right, don't forget, we're going to go out and take a picture before we leave. And seeing none. Oh, there's other business.
One person not thanked was our chair, who just done an incredible job. And so I just thought I'd add that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. I actually thank you. It's really a fun authority. It's a fun body to chair, to be quite honest. So thank you all. All right, we are adjourned and we're going to go take a picture. Do it, man.